I am Ahonu, and along with my lovely Aingeal Rose, we have another interview for you today. However, it's not us conducting the interview, it's our friend Sara Devoy from West Cork in the south of Ireland, and she's interviewing our great long-time author and dear friend Shirley Ward. Shirley has spent her life exploring birth trauma, and she's done amazing pioneering work in bringing pre and perinatal psychotherapy to everybody's awareness. In fact, we've published 3 books for Shirley, and her 4th book is coming next year. Her first 3 books are Fractals from the Womb, Healing Birth, Healing Earth, and Birth Earth, Our Future. And those 3 books are available on Amazon.com and where all good books are sold. Sara is a craniosacral therapist from Roscarbery. And Aingeal Rose remembers Roscarbery very well because it's a very beautiful part of the South Irish coastline in West Cork. We spent several weeks there back in 2010, and it was just a wonderful time. There were swans in the harbour, the food in the local pubs and restaurant was just wonderful. Anyway, Sara interviewed Shirley Ward in 2024 in a video we posted on Shirley's website at shirleyward.org. It was called Conscious Global Healing with Pre and Perinatal Pioneer Shirley Ward. Well, great news. Both of them are back, and in this interview, Sara and Shirley continue their discussion on birth trauma. Have a listen.
So here we are, and my apologies for my lateness. Let that be public because that's let people hear about these things.
Well, life has to go on, you know. I'm just aware that it's 6 months since we did the last one, and I've sort of been up and down, health-wise, but I seem to be rolling back again.
Yes, and I think there was a feeling, in a way, to give a little bit of a summary, wasn't it, of a catch-up of where we were. And obviously, we'd really encourage people to listen to the other episodes, but each one is a bit of a cliffhanger, isn't it?
Yes, well, I think people have been waiting for the next one. You know, I've heard from a number of people, and when are we getting the next one? But I'm aware that on part 3, I was talking very much about sperm and cells. And during the last month or so, I've come across some research in epigenetics.
Mm-hmm.
And really, what epigenetics are, they are basically saying which genes are active. Heavy stuff, but there might be people listening who are interested in the scientific side of this. And it's a Professor Jetro, Jetro, Tuulari, Tuulari, who's an assistant professor at the Department of Clinical Medicine at the University of Turku, Turku, in Finland. And he has been doing a growing body of research investigating whether parents' life experiences can be passed on to future generations through these epigenetic changes. And he thinks he was analysing sperm cells from 58 individuals, and so came to the conclusion, that in fact, the study finds that fathers may carry traces of their childhood trauma in their sperm cells, and so this is going to be passed on. And there's another name of a French writer, journalist, who is on www.livescience.com. Her name is Marianne Guillenot, Guenot. That's for when the line goes across the bottom so that it's spelled correctly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, they're saying that this epigenetic study finds that the sperm cells carry traces of childhood stress of the father. And so he's looking at how much of this is coming into the new being. So I thought that would interest some folks out there. Absolutely. Heavy stuff, but we'll lighten up now.
Yeah, but I think in many ways, previously, Shirley, people were understanding that sperm was something that was generated and didn't hang around for too long. Whereas, an egg is known to be in the grandmother and all of that stuff. Whereas that's fascinating, isn't it, to know that there
absolutely
impact.
Yeah. I'm not sure what we can do about it, but we can know about it.
And even acknowledge that everybody has a story, and every family's father and mother would be hugely impactful.
That's right. And one thing I found here, that epigenetics refers to how your behavior and environment can cause change that affects the way your genes work. So it is the study of changes in genes expression that occur without the DNA being changed.
Yeah.
And it says it occurs during cell division. So it's very, very early stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But something that we can file away, and then, there's people out there who would possibly like to follow this through.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, thank you, Shirley, because I think I'm always on that mission of feeling that it didn't actually start with us. And, we are a kind of an amazing synthesis of what went before us, aren't we? And we can.
Oh, well, I'm writing book 4. And we are the universe. We talk about being in the universe, but the universe is in us. God, when I think about the stuff that I'm able to write about, and I've got the opportunity to do it, but the knowledge and the history, and way back 12,000 years now, because I'm doing sort of 10 or 12,000 years of world civilization through the zodiac.
Wow.
And everything that's happened, from Stone Age, from the Stone Age, and coming through to going into the Aquarian Age now, we carry all that knowledge. And to me, when I'm looking at the jobs people do and what they're writing about and what they're doing with their lives, or whether they're just not using the human potential. Of course, this is what Jean Houston was talking about, developing human potential. And, finding out that all this stuff I'm talking about, the negative stuff, once we get rid of it,
yes,
you can write about anything, because that's the stuff that's blocked us.
Yes.
Blocked us right from the beginning.
And knowing that the positive is probably 75%, if not, 90%, and there's just that little glitch that we can heal and work with. Yeah.
Yeah, we're wonderful. I said this in the last thing, we are absolutely wonderful human beings. And wow, what we could do if we were using some more, even a little bit more potential.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, I'm sitting here thinking that your epigenetics can't have been too bad, Shirley, apart from.
Well, yeah, but I've been very lucky in meeting people and also doing therapy. And I really, a lot of people say, oh, therapy doesn't work, but it jolly well does, because it unblocks you. It unblocks that wonderful stuff that's below the surface.
Yes. Yeah.
And all this is what we're talking about. And it starts way back there.
We're right at the root of the matter.
Oh, yes. And, I'm absolutely deep into this chapter on the zodiac, the influences of zodiac ages. And, it can blow your mind if you've never heard it before.
Yes. Yeah.
But maybe I can do that on another thing, because we're carrying on today. I think we finished almost the intrauterine awareness.
Yeah.
And yes.
So where would you love to start today? You were mentioning birth scripts. Are we starting there, or where would you like to begin?
Well, I think going towards birth as the baby has grown and the baby is going to be actually physically born, that we need to look to see what's happening in utero when that happens. At the beginning of labor, for example, or we'll have a look to see what's happening. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, let's go there. Yeah.
I need to put my glasses on.
Yeah. And
I've lost these.
And just to say, Shirley, or just perhaps to name for people, because often there's so many words, and I'm sure we've spoken about this before, but this aspect of trauma, looking at traumas, looking at problems. Whereas what I'm hearing you say is by looking at those birth scripts, at those early imprintings, if you like, it's not that we're holding on to them or trying to sort of, even worry about them. It's just like to know, okay, this happened to me and I may have experienced this. And then we can be curious, can't we? And and as you say, reach the bottom of that potential and open those channels.
I mean, I'm thinking just quite a simple thing. I'm thinking here of the onset of labour, or before birth anyway, and to find the way out. How do we find the way out? And this happens in so many things, projects and things we do, and so often when I've been working with people, they get stuck. And then they go round in circles. And this is what happens in the womb. When they're trying to find the way out, they get themselves stuck and can't get out of that place. And it is a real pattern of when you're in any event in life, you can start something and then not be able to go any further. And the struggle to either get out of the womb, for example, or to find a way out of something. It's all there. It's all patterned from here. Have you got any question on this at all?
Yeah, what I'm sort of reflecting. I actually have my pelvis and doll if people want to see that. But I think that incredible junction point is so important, isn't it? And physiologically, there's so many reasons why it might be difficult for that baby to turn. The cord could be in the way and stuff like that. So it's not that. And I think I've seen people, just like yourself, that have blamed themselves for not being able to find the way out when it may have been a physiological kind of setup that, it wasn't really safe to turn, or there was a bone kind of resting so close that it was painful to turn. So, there can be so many reasons, can't there, why the baby can't.
Oh, absolutely. And once you get through, if you go round and round in circles, some people go round and round in circles trying to solve something and never get the answer.
Yeah.
But with you mentioning the cord, then I had a vision the other night of when I was about 5 or 6 years old. I was in assembly in the primary school I went to, and we were boys and girls together. And we were in assembly, and we had to close our eyes, like all little girls and boys have to when they're praying in assembly, where they have assemblies these days. And the little boy's arm touched mine, and I went into sheer terror and thought it was a snake.
Wow.
And my mother always teased me because I was always frightened of snakes when I was young.
Yes.
I don't know why. I'm not now. But later, I found out that the phobia or the fear of snakes is really the cord in the womb.
Wow. Tell me more about that, because I have a phobia of snakes.
Well, it didn't come to me till years and years afterwards, but I've never forgotten the sheer terror I went into. And I was only 6, and I must have just gone back into the womb. It wasn't far away, only 6 years, and just felt that it really was something curling round me.
Yes. Yeah.
And I know phobias actually come from this place, because I can tell you a few more as well. But that one was a personal one.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying. I mean, there's a wonderful couple on This Morning who work with phobias with people, and I often say, "Oh no, that all right, you do it your way, but I've got another way as well. That really came from in the womb, But what about your snake phobia?
Yeah, well, I'd love to know, and I'm sure now that you've opened this can of worms, as we might say, yeah, this aspect of snakes, like I would have had a long problem of not being able to even look at a snake in a picture. Even the
Mm,
idea of touching the picture
mm,
would be, I just closed the book. I couldn't bear to see it. And, I could think
mm.
logically, my brother used to dangle a kind of a rubber snake at
Yeah,
me and scare me and stuff like that. But I think there was something else. Like for me, it's, I'm not even sure what it is, but it's just the fact that they've got an eye on either side. I'm also phobic about birds, so an eye on either side.
that's the next one.
Uh,
That is the phobia about birds,
yeah,
but
so
it might be linked in the same thing. I had I had a matron come to me 25 years ago who worked in a very large hospital in the UK, and it was a fairly new hospital, and she had been put on the top of this, her room was really on the top, the tower or something in this hospital.
mm,
And of course, the birds were outside. They all kept coming, the
mm,
birds, the pigeons, and she was terrified, absolutely terrified. Now, I did have to do some regression work or take her back a little way. And she lay on the mattress and closed her eyes and began, didn't know where she went. Do you know where this comes from?
wow. I was even wondering about an implantation or no? I said, well, what you said about a fertilization?
What
Oh,
does that? What does it?
is that moving down the fallopian tube?
Placenta.
Ah,
Seeing she saw the placenta,
wow,
and the placenta was coming,
right,
was
right.
and and that was it. Once she found out the physical place, that there was an absolute historical place, a physical place,
Mm,
and the emotions that happened when she saw it.
mm, wow, fascinating. And she had to be in a kind of aggressive kind of state to sense into that, yeah.
Well, I've been asked recently, how do you know a person is ready to do this work?
Hmm, hmm.
And I thought, well, people come to me if they are ready, but
Mm,
if it suddenly happens, something in them takes them to the place where they need to heal it.
right, right.
So I'm not sure that I would ask a lot of questions. Are you ready? Do you know what this? No, I wouldn't do
Mm,
that.
just take them there.
I would just, just say, well, uh, you know, and if they don't want to go there, they won't go.
So
But
I'm
if they're ready
curious.
to, they will.
So how did that concept of the placenta come to the matron? How did that arise? In the,
Um, well, she was on the floor, she went into the birthplace where the placenta was.
mm, hmm.
She was desperate. She was desperate to. She was terrified of these birds
Yeah,
and wanted to do something about them. Otherwise, she would have left the job.
yeah. Wow, wow.
Um, yeah, I've never forgotten her.
Yeah.
Um,
And then she was still in the same environment, but somehow not so challenged by the birds.
that's right. Yeah.
Wow.
Um, it doesn't always happen that way.
Mm,
And some might be even too terrified, and so they don't want to do it.
hmm, hmm.
But we're not doing the wrong thing. They will tell you. People will tell you, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not. Excuse me.
So is it your understanding, Shirley, and your experience that there is always a place where these phobias have originated from? Is that your sense? Yeah.
Always. Oh, yes. I mean, I say this a number of times. Once you find the historical place and you find what actually happened, the
Mm,
event that happened, and the emotions around it. Once you've got those three things, it heals it.
yeah.
I know I can just, say that, but it does.
I wouldn't be alone in this. We don't have to make this about me and my phobias, but say I know that I wouldn't be alone in this idea of having a fear of being pecked to death or something like that by a bird
Mm,
or
mm,
something predatory like that, kind of consuming
mm,
me.
mm. Well, I think it comes from that place where something is coming at you.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Yeah. So I was even wondering, was it a kind of a memory of being egg and a memory of kind of being of being of something like a sperm coming at me as egg? Do you know
that's right.
that kind of energy?
Yes. Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. I mean, it's when those sperms, and then there's a million of them,
Mm.
and there's only one that's going to get through.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, not
you know,
understanding that it's kind of like I have that sense of being annihilated by these beasts, as opposed to being fulfilled, whereas the egg would,
mm,
could have a sense of fulfillment in its
yes.
fertilized state, but there's a sense
Mm.
of annihilation in it. So for me, so it's that's the place.
And you see, people would ask me, well, what would you do about that, Shirley? I would do it through even art.
Mm,
Draw it, draw it out. Let's see what it is. Let's see what it might represent.
yeah,
And so I think art therapists may sometimes do it that way.
yeah,
I know Carmel does this work through sand tray. Um, there are other ways. You don't, we did a lot of regression work in the beginning, and this was going back 25 years. And then we got to the stage where you don't put people through the same trauma.
yeah.
And so we had other ways of meditation and writing, and when the meditation, and so they wrote down. And Frank did this. This was the way Frank worked.
Frank Lake,
He
yeah.
always felt that, people took notes of what was
Mm,
happening, and then the client went back through the notes and worked that way.
mhm.
But in modern day, you don't put people through the same trauma.
Yes.
You know, although it did work in those days.
Mm. I mean, where
Just
I'm going to sort of complete it in case anyone's kind of following this train of thought, but even as we're speaking, Shirley, just being with you, I have to say, is very clarifying for me. And in terms of I can't say that it will completely heal my bird or my snake phobia, but what I'm getting a sense of is the truth for me around it is that my egg didn't have enough time to be before the sperm came. So I just needed a little bit more time to feel into my potency, my aliveness before I got invaded,
Mm,
And so that's a place that I need to rest with personally, just to feel into that safety of being egg, before the event happened. I think
mm.
it's a little bit too speedy for my egg.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Mm.
Uh, mm. Because when the sperm hit my egg, oh wow, it was like an explosion. There
Hmm.
was too much coming in,
Right.
and it's taken me a lifetime, 70 years in a way, to absorb everything that I'd done. I pioneered so much stuff. I'd started so many things.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I start
Ignited so many
something.
things.
What?
Ignited so many things.
And that, yeah, well, yes, that's the word, ignited them. And then I leave it for other people to carry on. I don't need to
Mm.
know what's going on. That something's happened, and it even happened when I was a young teacher. It was 20 or so, because Olympic gymnastics came on, and little Olga Korbut was from the Russian. She must be nearly 60 or so now.
Yeah.
But uh, you know, I couldn't get over what they were doing in gymnastics. So
Yeah.
I went into Olympic gymnastics, and I was teaching the kids. We got a trampoline, and we were doing all the stuff on the trampoline that they could do on the bar, and
Yeah.
so on. But then my colleague, I had to leave because I had an injury, and my colleague Jill took over, and the children did very well at
Yes.
the school in Olympic gymnastics. But this has always happened,
Yes.
and so you know,
It
so
has.
I
I
don't
think
need to be involved in anything. If somebody starts something and then wants to be involved in it all their life,
mm,
no way, no,
let them
no.
off. Yes, too much.
Yeah,
But so Shirley, where
But
we
this,
are is this pre-birth experiences and how they
well,
show
this is
up.
where it's coming from. Yes, it
Yeah.
all comes from this. The
Yes.
way we live our lives
Yes.
is what happened back then.
Yes.
Um, Now, where are we then? Are we?
You were talking
I would like.
pre-birth, and I always think it's important for people to understand about how tight that space is. You were talking about people going round and round in circles. and maybe finding it hard to get started and find the way out.
But that gives you the pattern
Yeah.
of how they always do things.
Yes.
Whatever situation they're in.
Yeah.
I occasionally used to start something and then get stuck in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I didn't write until I was 74,
Mm-hmm.
because I could only do the small documents. I couldn't do a large book,
Mm-hmm.
which meant that I had to. I can do it now. I can, I can do it, and
Amazing.
my intellect and the clarity is there, but it wasn't before.
That's amazing.
And so that was something that I shifted through therapy or
Yes.
whatever
Yes.
in this place. I found something. I found something in Tom Verney's book.
Uh-huh.
Verney, Verney, I think it
And
is.
which book are you referring to?
He wrote The Secret Life of the Unborn Child.
Yes.
In the 1980s, over 40 years ago.
Mm.
And on page 70 in that book, The Secret Life of the Unborn Child, he actually writes that there is a significant relationship between birth trauma, violence, criminal behavior, learning disabilities, epilepsy, hyperactivity, child alcohol, and drug abuse. Now, that's a negative thing, but it is something that we're looking at these days, of disabilities and where it's coming from. And he's saying that it's really in this place where the onset of labour, and then we're going up to, what is it?
We're talking about the kind of first stage, aren't we? Where it's just hard to get out. It's hard to move down.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now I need to get this right. Because
do you want to take a little pause there, Shirley, or are you okay?
No, I'm fine. Let me keep going now. Don't stop me again. Don't stop me in full flight. So we're looking at before birth, at the beginning of labour, in the struggle to get out, and then having emerged. What happens to the baby then? And it was Stan Groff many years ago who brought out what he calls 4 basic perinatal matrices. And he called them BPM. So you have BPM 1, BPM 2, BPM 3, and BPM 4.
Okay.
And so before birth was BPM 1. At the beginning of labour was BPM 2. And in the struggle to get out, BPM 3. And 4, having emerged, the baby starts to breathe and establishes a new experience. After that, actually, many years after, Barbara Finn Dyson added a 5th, which was BPM 5 attachment.
Great.
And she said that is where the attachment with the mother, or the separation or the isolation, it happened, and it needed to be there.
Yeah.
I never heard what Stan Groff did. Stan's still alive, he's 95 now, living in Germany.
Wow.
Yes, because I had a young man talking to me from the Czech Republic, and he knew Stan.
Gee.
And he said, he's 95. He said he did have a stroke, I think, but he's living. He's got a new wife, and he's living in Germany.
Gee.
And anybody who knew Stan, he's still around, and he was wonderful. It was wonderful work. Yeah. So here we go. What Frank Lake did was he added 4 levels to this, and he called them ideally good, when things were really super, and then bearing, number 2 was bearing and coping, that this is what was happening. The baby's response in these places were ideally good, bearing and coping, And then in total opposition. And fourthly, transmarginal stress beyond the point of being able to bear what was going on.
Yeah.
And in these places, so here we are, when it's before birth, and you're getting it's ideal, or it's it's ecstatic, it's absolutely fine. And we're not going to have any problems with somebody who's living through that. And so before birth, and then the bearing and coping is the baby responding to bearing and coping what's going on in that womb. And may pick up how tired mum is at this point. Oh gosh, mum's tired. She can't do this, and then you get level 3, which is total opposition just before birth.
And tell me about that. Will you extrapolate more later?
The mother at this point, which is just before birth, the fetus refuses to go with bad maternal feelings. So if mum's feeling bad, and the baby is saying, "I want to get out of here," just stop it. But just don't stop me from getting out of here. Come on, I'm on my way.
Yeah. I need you.
And you see, this is I've got a chapter on the book of the roots or origins of mental illness, and it can begin here because the baby can also feel a fear of being attacked. They wanting to get out, but something's coming against. Paranoia.
Right.
Somebody's attacking me, and if that feeling comes in, that's where the paranoia starts, and you can see it.
Right.
I can see it in people who are paranoid. They really battle. They want to get out, they want to do it, but something is stopping them from doing it, and so they're being attacked. And you really get the origin of mental illness here.
Yeah.
And of course, I've got another chapter in the book, which is the origins of disease or illness, because the negative umbilical affect that I talked about in the last session gets displaced into physical organs.
Yes.
And so you can't say that disease just happens. It's there's many reasons why we get diseases, but there is also a place where that negative stuff that's coming in down the cord is pushed into different places in the fetus or in the baby. And well,
yeah, because it's interesting when you say it's being pushed, because I also heard that is it true in your experience that the baby has the capacity to shunt? Obviously the things are flooding in, but the main thing is she wants to protect her heart, so she has the capacity somehow to shunt things down and away from her heart, which might mean that she's compromised elsewhere, but obviously the heart is, if we don't have the heart, we're not going to go forward. So
absolutely right. I mean, I don't know what people if people are listening to this, God knows what they're thinking or what they're feeling, but we haven't gone far enough back. If we go far enough back and find this out, at least we can do things when we're having babies to try and say, well, let's make it better. Yeah. Let's make it a better pregnancy. Let's not have all this negative stuff going on. Now, the level 4, which is the effects of transmarginal stress. Now, when you come through total opposition, the baby might get through that, or it may go into absolute transmarginal stress, just beyond the point of bearing. Now, I've seen people over years do therapy, and they get so far, and yet there's that one point I can't get them through. Can't get them through. And or they can't get through. Let's put it that way. They can't get through because the overwhelming feelings of badness and total emptiness because mum's not giving me what I need. Oh God, I don't know what to do.
And when you say not giving me what I need, is it literally
Well,
like
not helping,
Yeah.
not helping,
But
not helping.
And that might be as a result of many things, or she's just not able
Yes,
to be there. Yeah.
that's right. And many, a lot of things happen. I mean, um, oh, what was it called? Um, oh, I can't remember. It's a program with Sarah Lancashire in. What was her famous one? The one in Yorkshire. Anyway, it's where the mother dies
Uh-huh.
and the baby lives
Gee.
in a car accident.
Wow. Yes.
And I'm thinking, oh Lord, what are they doing with the baby? They didn't mention it at all. That baby that was in a car accident where mother died and the baby lived.
Mm.
Oh Lord, you need to work on this sort of thing, and it can be done. It can be done if we realise that there are things that can be done. That can be done.
Yes.
I mean, yes, loving and caring and holding, and this is what they did in the program. Oh,
Mm.
there's so much. There's so much we can do. When it looks like a hopeless case.
Yeah.
No, don't give up. Don't give up.
But even what you're saying there, Shirley, and obviously we can look at examples perhaps as we go on, but this transmarginal stress, I presume that each one of us can reflect on our lives and say, "Ooh, there are places I can't sometimes go." And it could have been we blanked out, or it could have been we just couldn't take the pain anymore, or whatever the package deal that we had was. Yeah.
Yeah, and you see, with the despair, the baby's response thinks that mother hates him or her.
Mm.
There's a real feeling of my mother doesn't like me, my mother hates me, and it can take a lifetime. It can take a lifetime to repair that relationship, and sometimes it's never done. It's never repaired, and it's not mum's fault, and it's not the baby's fault. It's something that happened.
Yes.
And if you're into past lives and karma and so on, well, you can say yes, it's cause and effect of karma, and we'll go on to the next and see what we can sort out.
Mm.
And this is how the world works. We're all different.
Mm.
We're all
I think
different.
that's quite sad when something can be.
Oh yeah, but maybe they're not ready. Maybe we're at a time. There's a lot of people not ready for the work I'm doing, and I know I'm 150 years ahead of my time. That's fine.
Yes.
And the other thing about this of beyond the point of bearing, when there's success, sometimes that person can sabotage it.
Mm. Interesting. Tell us more.
And when I think of good things that happen to a person, I say, well, it's wonderful. Sabotage a lot because that's where it's coming from. As I say, we're a complicated lot, but we must look at the healing. The healing there, but we need to understand more.
Yes.
So before birth, and that's so we've got the 4 things there. And this is in one of my books, the whole lot, all the charts and things, and what happens, and how we can relate it, and the things of disease and mental illness. I've already done the one on suicide, and there's a video on that.
It might be nice to have that as a map, wouldn't it? If we had the kind of a map, it might be useful for listeners and viewers now to have that map.
It's in the book, though. It's in the books.
Yes.
Wait a minute, what am I looking at?
Because in a way, what you're offering, Shirley, here is a kind of in a way, an elaboration of the books, isn't it? To really kind of draw it out so people can start feeling it and
Well, they might
sing
understand
into
it.
it
You know, they look at
themselves.
my books and say, "What the hell is this about? I don't want to read that." You know.
Yes.
Um, and then you've got having emerged the baby that was we're on four. Um, you know, if it's ideally good, oh God, it's what a relief! What a relief! I'm out.
Hmm.
Um, careful handling, responds to the careful handling, and feels the soft, gentle hands and the welcome, and it's wonderful. But having emerged, you know, when bearing and coping, wait patiently and hope.
Mm-hmm.
I've coped so far, so I'll do it now.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, total opposition
Mm-hmm.
arrives in fighting mood.
Uh-huh.
You can see this. You can see that in clients, can't you? You know,
Yes.
arrive in fighting mood. Um, and of course, there's anxiety and panic in total opposition, and fears fragmentation of oh God, I'm you know, I'm going to break up. I'm going not going to. I can't bear not having my needs met,
It's
and so that's
interesting.
the total.
If I could slow you down there a bit, Shirley, because you're saying so many important things, it's just this thing of somebody arriving in opposition mode. And
Mm.
of course, we can always be curious about what's behind that. But, you know, it's
Mm.
interesting to know from a birth perspective, what do you feel would be a classic presentation for that person? Like where, you know, what would they have had to face into to find their
Well,
way?
it could be a personal thing. It could be a personal thing against the therapist.
Okay, possibly.
Yeah, boy, it could do. You know, well, you're not any good for me. You don't understand what I'm talking about.
Hmm. Hmm.
And you can have friends who say that. You don't understand. You know, doesn't matter how much I say, you don't understand.
Hmm.
Total opposition. And I'm not going to listen to you anyway because you're not right. I'm right. You're not.
Hmm. But do you feel
And
that particular perspective on the world would have originated in utero, possibly?
oh yes, narcissism.
Right, right, yeah.
Yeah.
And that narcissistic pattern, what do you feel
Well,
that
you
comes
see,
from a
when I
particular
say
part?
narcissism, people very often go towards the negative of narcissism, and in fact, you can be a very healthy narcissist.
Mhm.
Everything is turned into good stuff. You know, you can be very good, and that's okay. You know, it's not being um, snooty, or it's not being I know everything and you don't. You know, it's not that.
Mm.
It's you can be a very healthy narcissist as well as an unhealthy narcissist,
Mhm. Mhm.
and it can change. It can change. It takes a lot of time,
Yes.
um, but the whole thing is about not being able to cope with well, can't bear unmet needs. I have so many needs, and you know,
Mm.
you know all this, and I don't. You
Mhm.
know,
Mhm. Mhm. But do you
um,
feel that that pattern is laid down at a particular part of the birth canal?
well, where it's total opposition and the effects of transmasculine stress. Now, the one that is the real well, is level 4. Um, when the baby emerges, and the needs of the baby are not met at all.
Mhm.
You know, mostly they are if you're in hospital, but sometimes they're not.
Mm.
You know, there's failure of the people around to actually recognise that the baby needs bonding and warmth and security and love.
Mm.
And the baby just says, oh, it's all just too bad. I'm not going to endure this. I'm not going to. And this is where you get death wishes and despair
Yes.
and panic
Yeah.
and won't breathe.
I need to pause to breathe there with that one, Shirley.
Right.
Yes. It's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, yes. But as I say, don't take this all too seriously and take it to heart, but because things can heal.
Yes.
And what I'm trying to do is put the knowledge I have from over 50 years from what Alison and Carmel
Mm.
and people like yourself who are working in the pre and perinatal area, we can get through.
Yes.
But the thing is, come on, we have to go back to when we conceive a baby,
Yeah.
and are we looking after it in the womb?
Mhm.
Are we doing the right things?
Yes.
It's not going to happen with everyone. That is all I'm doing. I'm trying to say this is what can happen.
Yes.
It can be healed. But if we prevent it from happening, if we do the things of looking after the baby and and have a baby that we want, it won't happen. These things don't happen
Mhm.
because it's just not there. The negative stuff isn't there.
Mm.
Now, maybe I'm being idealistic, which I'm not really trying to be idealistic. I'm trying to be quite practical and saying, look, what's happening in the human race is our fault.
Yes.
What's happening to the planet is our fault.
Yes.
And if we have a very difficult pregnancy and it's our fault because we're not looking after the baby in the womb, then they're going to go and that's how they're going to treat the planet.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
But there are wonderful young people out there, wonderful, whose parents have really looked after them and they're doing fabulous things for the planet. I've
Yes.
been watching CNN
Uh-huh.
news and I watch a lot of the news programs because they've got so many different organizations now. The ocean, looking at the ocean and
Uh-huh.
what's being cleared and what people are doing. And Africa, when Inside Africa on CNN, I can't get over what the Africans are doing.
Wow.
Of looking after the planet. It's fabulous.
Wow. That's really positive. We need those upbeats. Absolutely.
Yeah. A lot is happening. Where a lot of people are getting quite despondent about the planet. Yeah, things are happening, but there's so much happening that's good.
Yes.
So much happening and good.
It absolutely is. But I'm sort of segueing back to those primal feelings, when at the birth, when we come out and maybe we don't get received in the way we would dream of being received. And all of that may have happened to any one of us. And as adults listening to this, as you say, when we have a place that we may know that, yes, I do have these patterns or I have these peculiarities that sometimes I do get despondent. I mean, it's even in terms of what is our response to the world right now. Maybe some of us it's anger, some of us it's sadness, and some of us is pure despair. So some of those patterns of response, reactivity, if you like, would have been laid down for each one of us, wouldn't they be?
But we have choice. We have free choice.
Yes.
And free choice, you can either go along with the mob and carry on harming the planet, or you can say, yeah, I'm going to do something about this.
Yes. Yes. And that's a key piece, actually, Shirley, that we're speaking about here, because obviously back then in utero and just postpartum, we didn't have that much agency. And we might have felt all very, very lost and alone in our despair or whatever feelings we were having or our rage. And it's really good, isn't it, to come back to the present moment and say, like, now we do have choice. We're actually not, even though these patterns can influence us now, we are not in utero now. And even though we might feel as though we are sometimes, we can step out. As you said, we have a choice to step out.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking of, I've got a young man who's a neighbour and he goes fishing. He comes back, not with fish, but with 3 or 4 bags of rubbish that he's taken out of the river.
Wow. Wow. That's very heartening, isn't it?
Yes, yes. He sends me a photograph. Yes. He sends me a photograph and says, this is what I've taken out today. Doesn't come back with fish. He comes back with rubbish he's taken out because he can't bear to see all the people tossing everything into the river as they walk past.
Yeah, and the good news about it nowadays is that young people can get coins for the cans. That's what happens here in Ireland.
Yes, that's better. But you see the rubbish that he brings, it's...
Yeah.
But, somewhere there was a good birth there. But I haven't said anything to him. But there was something good happening there. He didn't want people to do it.
Yeah.
And we don't.
Yeah.
But sometimes we don't do anything about it. It's not many people who would take the bags down to the river and start taking junk out of the river, you know?
But it depends which
That's
way you think about it, because do you think there could also be a sort of a recapitulation for him that he wants to keep things pure? He wants to keep the space clean. You know, you could see it in lots of ways in a way, couldn't you?
absolutely, absolutely. Now, I don't know how long we've had, but I really need to get on to the birth scripts
Yeah.
that become life scripts because
Yes.
it's continuation. People look at the types of birth that there are and the characteristics that come out of the types of birth. But I've actually done this from beginning of labour because that's birth, and the scripts are coming out there. You know, the scripts are coming out from the beginning of labour, and so it all comes under the same title of birth scripts become life scripts.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to be looking at,
Yes,
shortly. Thank you so much.
when they play the next one. Yes, all right.
We hope you enjoyed that and that it has given you food for thought. Pre and perinatal work and birth trauma are vital topics, especially considering what's going on in the world and what this time of change is all about. For Aingeal, Rose and I, it's showing how we really have to dig deep to heal our own wounds. And as Shirley says, in healing ourselves, we help heal the earth. You'll find links to Sarah Devoy and Shirley Ward below, as well as the links to all of Shirley's books on Amazon. And if you need help, please get in touch with us or Shirley. So, until next time, blessings from myself, Ahonu, and from Aingeal Rose.